Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan from 1989, directed by Rob Hedden, and of course the 8th film in the franchise. So yes, we are back once again ready to discuss Friday the 13th from the channel, this time around the 8th entry, and there will be a spoiler warning for this discussion if you haven't seen this film. I simply recommend seeing it first and then come back to this video. We can talk about this from the comments and all things Friday the 13th. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss this film. A very divisive film in the franchise, and a very bizarre film, and I saw this for the first time in 2020 when I went through most of these films, and saw ones that I didn't see as a kid, this kind of thing, and this was a one that kind of stood out to me, definitely as a really strange film in the franchise, and I got enjoyment from this, and I think once again it has enjoyable moments. This film, I don't think this is all bad, and this is obviously considered one of the very worst Friday the 13th films, and it was the worst box office performing one, in the entire franchise actually, and it's a really different film. They took it in a very different direction. It doesn't really feel at times like a Friday the 13th film, for me at least, and Jason Takes Manhattan, obviously this has been noted many times before, but basically it's the last 20-25 minutes of the film that's actually in New York, in the city, and before that it's on the ship, and around the ship beforehand, and we've got some visions, flashbacks throughout, and gearing up to go docking onto the ship there, but most of the film is actually on the ship, in the storms, and just before that as well, and you've got this son of a captain as well, all this kind of stuff going on, massive bunch of characters here. You've got this strange music video-esque moments, with the guitar and all this kind of stuff, and it really is such a strange film, but the film opens up, the opening credits titles with kind of shots of the city to foreshadow this perhaps, and kind of showing the alleys and all this kind of stuff, and it's kind of then we don't see the city until the last 20-25 minutes of the film, and that kind of portion of the film does feel like a 45-50 minutes actually, because of the way it feels really long, this film, and but it is it's a short runtime compared to the rest of the film, and it's just such a strange film. This you got really insane kind of comedic moments. There's just something about this film, the editing and stuff, but obviously it's the longest Friday the 13th film at 100 minutes, and that's interesting. It's not obviously long at all, but for a Friday the 13th film being the longest, that's definitely interesting, at this point. And I think there's just something about the editing and the way that things are put together, and just potentially I guess there's so much going on, and some of it, on the ship, and this kind of stuff, it's not the most interesting. We do have Jensen Daggett, as Rennie, basically the final girl of the film, as we know, and she's got some interesting moments of the character. She's not, overall that, compelling, but there's some things they're going for, and, she's scared of water and all this kind of stuff, and, she kind of forms a relationship with some of the characters in the film, but we have obviously the pre-existing one being Charles, kind of a really strange character, the uncle of this character of Rennie, and, I found, even though Charles, it was kind of entertaining at times, because he's so kind of moody, and always kind of being kind of stroppy at times, and always annoyed, different characters in the film. I thought he wasn't a great character, and just this whole kind of weird backstory we have. There's some flashbacks as well. We have obviously Rennie showing how she was scared of the water, and all this kind of stuff, being forced to swim in that sense, and kind of a fairly common trope in films, but it was like, at least they were going for something with her, a bit of backstory, and but it was just a bit strange how it was done, and I think some of the other characters as well, the whole kind of captain, and he's kind of train his son up to be a captain as well, this kind of stuff, and he dies, and just a lot of the characters that get picked off at first, kind of a bit older than the other characters, and it's kind of we're left with these younger characters, and there's just so many of them, and so many that are just not very good, and there's kind of this whole kind of thing of the atmosphere of some of the characters picking on others, and all this, and it's just really strange kind of setup. I wasn't big at all on the first act of the film, and I think the actual very first scene of the film, really with certain characters, and kind of prologue, if you will, after the credits, Camp Crystal Lake, and those couple on the boat there, that was really bad for me. It was just so bad. One of the worst kind of openings to a film in the franchise, and we have just the way the line delivery is there, and some of the reaction shots, and just that whole sequence there. It's just cringy as well. Just not a big fan of that. And when we get into the main characters, it takes a while for me to really get much enjoyment from this either. I think one of the best things about this though is Kane Hodder, and I think as Jason, he does a really good kind of act again. He's got presence. He's definitely very physical once again, and there's loads of moments in this film that are quite wacky. We have a bit more humour in this film. I think obviously VI was the first one that was a bit more self-aware humour in that sense. But this one at times is even more so. We have kind of Jason at one point when we get to the city. He looks at a billboard, the hockey mask, and kind of does a tilt, and then just really strange moment there. And as well, when we've got the kind of gang that the thugs that are foreshadowed at the beginning, kind of shown briefly, in the titles, the credits there. He kind of kicks the speaker, just kind of as he walks by, and he takes off his mask as well at one point to them, and because afterwards they're kind of they're kind of shouting at him, and he takes off the mask to scare them basically. I think some of these comedic moments actually do work, and they are actually pretty well thought out. It's pretty good the way it's done, and I think I do praise the film for that. Other aspects of the kind of the comedy and the kind of meta humour in that sense, is not very good. And this whole as well, when we have the kind of that character who plays the guitar in the film, and she's got this gimmick, and then she just says, "This is a great spot," and just in between, the kind of layers of the ship, the areas of the ship, on the stairs and everything, there's all water dripping down. She just suddenly, plays the guitar, and it's just absolutely insane this moment, and I didn't like that. It's just some really bad comedy there. Having said that, though, we do have some decent characters. At times, I think VC Dupree, Julius, the boxer in the film, he's got some moments, especially as we get to the city, and before that, where he's quite enjoyable at times, and I think as well, Martin Cummins, as Wayne, someone who's filming everything in the film, that's used to as a gimmick at times, and he doesn't make it, unfortunately, to the actual city. But we do have as well Sean, played by Scott Reeves in this film, and he's got a bit of backstory, as I said, about him being, kind of, his dad, kind of wanted him to be, kind of, a captain and all this kind of stuff, and he's got some backstory of his father, and there's not much of a reaction when the father dies, in the film, but it's a bizarre film, but the final characters who make it to the city, I enjoyed that moment, when they all kind of arrive there, and I think it's got some charm to it, the fact that they are kind of banding together, and there's some interactions at least, finding that are quite cool, and they're kind of saying instantly, split up, which is fine, a fine trope to have, but then there's just some bizarre moments, of course with Charles, who gets dumped in, toxic waste, by Jason, and the characters just kind of leave him there, because Rennie kind of finally remembers, why she's scared of water, and kind of the flashback there to her childhood, so that was a bit strange, just some of the way the things are done, and just the character that's left in in the car, when it explodes and goes on fire there, and it was quite funny to see that. But I did enjoy some of these moments. Julius as well. You've got one of the iconic kills really in the franchise. A massive, over 50 punches. Have kind of thrown. Got a boxing match with Jason on this roof, and this is just hilarious, and it goes on for so long. To a point where it kind of loses the effect of it being, entirely funny, but it is a funny moment, and Julius is kind of slugging away. He's got blood on his hands, and he says, "Give me your best shot," kind of thing, and Jason just punches his head off, in one punch, and you can, it's very just cheaply done with the effects there, but it's just a hilarious moment. Then it goes into the trash there, that just. So insane this film at times, and I think when we do get to the city, other than the sewers, because that sequence was just, I didn't like the location there, the way it was kind of put together, and it was a bit just pretty grimy there. But other than that, when we get to the city, this is when the film it has more redeeming moments. It's a bit more enjoyable, and I think before that, most of the film on the boat, I didn't really enjoy. Other than yeah, moments, I think it was just it was a dislike from me, and I do kind of like some of the final act when we actually get to the city. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough to say this is a like overall. I don't like this film personally. I just think there's too much. Obviously, most of the film is on the boat, and it wouldn't have mattered if this was well done. But there's just so many characters that are throwaway, and just I think again copies from previous films. In this one, and just even though we've got better kills, I will say, than some of the previous ones just before this. With 5 and 7, for example, and even 6 at times. I think the kills, kind of more stand out. After the first 4 films, this has probably got some of the best kills, and I think despite all that and a bit more gore and more creative and funny kills, I think it's not quite enough for me to kind of like this portion on the boat. It's got some interesting moments with the characters, but just so much of this is just throwaway, stupid, silly moments. We've got kind of visions of Jason, as a child throughout this film. He looks different in every kind of shot, kind of thing when he's in the film, and just the way it was done, it was too much. It was too kind of silly, really, and it took me out of the film, and just constantly having him show up, and it's just a bit too silly for me, and it doesn't quite blend with the rest of the tone of the film. It's got a really strange tone to this one, but yeah, I think there are some cute moments. Obviously, we have this dog Toby, border collie, of course, and he, as we know, makes it out in the end, and that's just great, and just really cute moments, of course, with Toby. And I think Sean and Rennie being the final 2 survivors in the film, it was fine. I enjoyed that element of the film. We got the kind of shot, kind of showing the city there, and kind of. It's just a shame. I think this film, it could have been it could have been more enjoyable, but there's just so much of this that doesn't live up to the promise, and also it's just the comedy. At times it's just all over the place, and the tone of the film. You got a decent atmosphere to the film. With some of the lighting and the storm, the way it was done, and at first, seeing the shots of Camp Crystal Lake, it's got some good visual moments, and I guess at times the alleys and all this kind of stuff. In the city of New York was well shot, but it's just so much of the tone, just too much wacky moments that doesn't really blend with the film, and what they were going for, and just some of the thugs in this film, and just the moments. It's really dark moments as well, unnecessarily dark. What happens with Rennie there? What is going on when she gets to the city, and all the stuff with the drugs and all this? It's just way too much for me. I think what they were going for there, and it doesn't really have a place, in the film. I just find personally, and it's just way too dark, and it takes you out of the film, kind of thing. At least it does for me. This just doesn't blend at times, this film, and I think it's just very uneven, this one. But I do find some enjoyment in this film, and some kind of inspiration to take from it, and I think some unintentional moments as well. Comedy for me. For example, when we've got the characters kind of rowing, all the way from the ship to New York, and they finally make it, and even though clearly New York has been visible for them for a while, and just suddenly, they look, and they see the Statue of Liberty, and they're just kind of like, hey, New York and all this, and it's just so strange, the way that's done. It's not like kind of what it's probably intended to be when they kind of they finally made it to land, and they're going to be okay, they're going to make it out alive, kind of thing, and they're not going to die at sea in that sense. It's kind of like a completely different film where they've never been to New York in that sense, and it's this whole kind of epic, inspiring moment where we have in certain films, where someone arrives in New York, and it's just it sees the Statue of Liberty, and in that sense, it's just really weird what we're meant to feel there, but it's absolutely hilarious. Julius, his reaction there, and just as I say, some of the characters like Julius and Sean, and kind of before that Wayne, there are funny moments with them, and just charming moments, here and there, and I did like the border collie as well, the dog in the film, and Toby, and overall though, it's just not enough. This is definitely mediocre for me, and I think once again it does get a dislike from me. It's a shame, because at times this, just like some of the other films in the franchise, they have a bit more promise, and it's just consistently, it's not enough to fully enjoy the film. So overall, it does come down to being a mediocre film, and one that is just under par for me, and it's got too much in this film that I don't enjoy, and I think it's pretty just silly, and it doesn't work really for what they were going for, personally, with all respect. So overall, my rating for this film is a 52%. So not an entirely bad score for me, but just one that it needed to be more consistent, and just it wasn't enough. It's obviously the longest film at this point in the franchise, and 100 minutes, and so much of this is just filler and throwaway characters and just moments that are just too silly and don't really work for the film. And I thought, why was that in the film? And it just at times, it does lack, especially at first. That kind of feeling of the franchise, and it doesn't really overall feel like a Friday the 13th film for the most part. But Jason is really good in this film. You've got some decent characters, interactions, and it's just overall consistently with the flow and just the kind of structure of the film. And for how much of this I'm not really big on at all. I don't like this one personally, but I do get enjoyment from it. So there we go. That's kind of to sum it up. It's got better kills at times, than some of them in the franchise. You got some epic, funny, wacky moments with Jason and some of the characters. One of the favourite moments for me is definitely the boxing part. On the roof with Julius, Jason, and just some of the team up moments. Just a campy, basic kind of fun there. But so much of this, it's just really drawn out, unenjoyable, and just wasn't stuff that I was huge on at all. And the first act I didn't like at all whatsoever, really, and it took a while to really build up even the characters I ended up finding enjoyment from. And it's just too basic at times, and there's a lot of messy moments, in the tone, and it's just a lot of things are thrown at the film, and just don't really stick in that sense. But the constant is, the massive epic boat journey, and the ship, and the fact that when we get to the city, it's not quite, what was promised to us. But yeah, it's not an awful film, just a mediocre one, and a really, really bizarre entry, in the franchise. But yeah, that's my thoughts. What do you think? It'd be great to hear your thoughts on this film, and leave your thoughts in the comments. How does it compare for you to different films in the franchise, and what do you feel, about the tone of this film, and just where it sits, within the franchise. It's a really wacky entry, really kind of iconic. For a lot of people, mostly it is a divisive film, and it's not very popular at all. In fact, this and another film in the franchise are usually at the bottom, of the lists for the most part, and it's really just the one that most people don't really gravitate towards. So it's interesting, and I don't think it's the worst in the franchise. But yeah, no, it's definitely a unique, kind of strange film, and one that is just it's a bit of a chore at times to get through. But it has its moments, and it'd be cool to discuss this strange film in the franchise. Next up to talk about will be Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday, and the ninth entry. I have a few things to say about that one. Seen it once before, and that'll be an interesting experience to rewatch that one, and to discuss that on the channel as well. And I look forward to, regardless, going through the rest of these films. Just a few left really now, and that'll be in the next week or so. I'll be talking about that on the channel, and for now, let's discuss this film in the comments and all things Friday the 13th. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.